We are right in the middle of a series between Team Freedom and Gale Force eSports, where Gale Force is up 2-1 and is looking for one final game to close out the series. Likely they'll be picking the battleground once again. Any thoughts on where they're going?
I mean, if they're going to be selecting, it's just sticking to their guns. Any big map, that's all the main focus. We brought it up earlier, you know, whether it be Sky Temple, Cursed Hollow, anything like that, that's where they're going to thrive, and it makes the most sense to move that direction.
Would you have liked to see Team Freedom switch it up and go for a map choice, or do you think that they're just so concerned with making sure that they have the possibility for Ragnaros?
I think I would have liked to see them make the adjustment and go for a map selection. If they were, I would like to see them like more of an Infernal Shrines maybe, or Dragonshire. The only reason I'm afraid to, I would say Infernal Shrines or Sky, just because Dragonshire, actually those globals that they like so much do work in a very different way.
Yeah.
So I would have pulled away from that just because they're very comfortable picks. They're relevant on most maps, but on Sky, you can get away with it, especially if you gain that early lead to be able to let them have those.
I have 3 words for you. Nuclear, launch, detected.
Boom.
It's our first Warhead game.
Let's go.
I think in both NA and EU, right?
I don't know if it's been selected in Europe, actually, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I know it's probably the least played map out of any map that we have here at HGC so far.
Well, you did say a giant battleground, and it is the biggest for Gale Force to go to with all of their globals. I guess now maybe it is that just Team Freedom need to make sure that they're drafting some globals to be able to even compete with Gale Force there. Yeah,
I think that would be the first look, right, is going to be concentrating on making sure that you end up picking up the globals. Not only is it a deny, but it is it's pretty much a must-have on Warhead for now with how big the map is. Falstead specifically because he provides boss control on top of it.
Right.
And having the double boss, I mean, it's the double dream. If you get the flight down, get the Gustarino, barrel roll in, and take it yourself, or if you just do it with the team. Either way, Freedom's going to ban out the Zarya. I expect a Ragnaros ban, or I guess
TAS?
It's going to be the TAS, huh? They've been removing it left and right. I almost would take the risk of letting it go through, to be honest. Freedom just has so much comfort into Artanis, into Ragnaros, that I would just TAS Tracer. That's, that's Gale Force, what they want more than anything, and they let it through.
Yeah, they let it through, so now it's TAS or Ragnaros. But
it's a must-have.
But Freedom takes TAS. Again, now we see if Gale Force is willing to take Rag, because like we said, they've only played him once.
Yeah, I think they would be willing to. I pick it up in this rotation. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. And then probably the Falstead. I don't want to see them Brightwing, and I know I say that every single time, and then they end up Brightwing, but
Brightwinging?
Brightwinging, it's a verb. Can we go like just the Akka face? It just means picking Brightwing in the first rotation. Or
the Collusion. They had her last time.
Yeah, that's true. Either way, I think I want a Falstead, and then I would like to see the Ragnaros pick up. I'm torn on his value on this map. I haven't gotten to see it enough. I can see the argument on, well, he can delay left and right, and that's kind of neat, and then also maybe eating some of the shots of the nukes.
Yeah, was my consideration.
Yeah. It's just nuclear launch, and then he just goes like, what does he say? He's got behold.
Behold,
he just goes,
Ragnaros.
Behold. There it is. Oh, TLV.
Was something you wanted paired with something that you were not so excited about, so your face was like a roller coaster of emotions.
Just instant, just dead. Like, really? The lost Vikings. All right, so I guess I'll break it down for those who haven't seen Vikings in a very long time. So Vikings' value is obviously their ability to be able to soak the side lanes and allow your team to just fully commit to 4-man death pushing wherever you may like. And in the process, you are soaking all the lanes, eventually gaining experience advantage. Or if you want to do it the opposite way, you can set people in the lanes, and they'll be able to backdoor on top of those nuclear warheads whenever possible. Just in general, a nuisance would probably be putting it lightly.
I want Tracer or Li Ming.
I want Li Ming or Zeratul. Oh, Li Ming, Zeratul. I'll take both right here. Not true. With the TAS, they need a different melee, so I take the Li Ming and not the Zeratul. Dahaka, I like it, and the Vala. Okay.
So Dahaka to keep up with that split pressure from Lost Vikings, as well as whatever else globals Gale Force might get.
I mean, Freedom has to ban Falstead, right? Like, you don't give your opponent one of the best wave clears in the entire game. And the fact that Tracer didn't come out, I don't know.
I was really hoping for Tracer there.
Yeah, but I can see the argument against it because TLV changes up the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, but I guess if you feel like you're going to be fighting more, but she has one of those stacking talents, and I like people who can take stacking talents versus the Lost Vikings because it's so free to get high.
Did you say the Vikings are free?
Yeah, I do think that they're free to be able to get high in those stacks, whether it's Untouchable or Wizened Duelist or maybe Grim Task even for Zeratul. It's just
I agree. I like stackings, resets, things of the such. That's why I was saying
too.
the Zeratul Leeming, right?
Right.
Like you have the stacking potential and you've got the Leeming reset. You can force the fight when you need, which TLV typically doesn't want to do. But in the end, they do not go that direction. We got the Dahakavala. I wanted the false set ban, though. I said that before. I want to see it again. You don't give them the wave clear, you don't give them the globals, and you don't give them the Vikings. And they agree. They are going to be able to remove that here.
What will Gale Force pair with their Vikings?
Just give me the old school cheese, you know. Get it.
You think
real
they'll do
weird.
it here?
I hope not. But you know what? If you've already committed all in, just give me the most disastrous, difficult, annoying to deal with composition in the world.
I think that they will still get Zeratul.
Okay. I think that makes a bit of sense.
Crowan's going to be the warrior, so probably Muradin.
Gale Force, I don't know. Now that they've got TLV, what do I want? I like the idea of the Zeratul to be able to deal with the globals, buy time, while the Vikings soak. It's also, your team fight's just naturally weaker, so having Void to kind of just going like, what if we just don't fight here is really awesome, especially with Falstad. Instead, they're going to go Morales. I swear if that last pick is Zul'jin, I am going to pull my hair out. I am going to just be like, I don't understand this video game anymore. Was it that bad?
It's just like 6 days in HGC. You go further and further down the rabbit hole.
Until I sit there at the bottom looking out, just
You're
screaming.
You're going to sit underneath the desk.
Help! Help! Somebody get me out. Oh, man.
Okay, Freedom. What are these last two picks? Collusion's probably going to play Brightwing.
All right, so I would look toward more globals now, to be able to deal with TLV. And into the Ragnaros, that's not necessarily the most pretty hero that they can end up picking up. It's not terrible. So probably the Brightwing and then the backline Tychus is what I'm guessing. Oh, they go the Rhaegar.
Moving speed.
Give me Illidan. Hey, there it is. I like it. I like that direction. A lot better than what I expected. I do not want to see a Bloodlust, though. And then now I would still Zeratul, even with the Morales pickup. Now, especially into that comp, because they can force relatively easy. And that's the last thing I want to do. I know that sounds weird to pick like almost 5 melees. All right, that's it. Let's go. Time to wrap this up, boys. Let's go. Time to go home. Here we go. Why? Okay. I'm done.
You still have your hair in at least.
I do. I made that work. I just, oh man, why Zul'jin? That's all I gotta ask is why the Zul'jin in that scenario? What made that look like this is a Zul'jin moment other than just like, why not? You know?
Obviously they feel like they need a strong four-man still that can like hold off Team Freedom because Team Freedom are going to be coming at them with all 5. And Gale Force wants to have the Vikings out in the lanes. So Zul'jin does a lot of damage. He's a strong backliner, at least. It can throw out consistent hero damage. But can they keep Morales and Zul'jin safe?
See, this is why I would like to see more of a Jaina. It not only provides appeal, it provides kill potential on the 4-man left and right. Like, what they have no setup for the 4-man to be able to get a kill. Like, other than just wave clearing and being like, hey, we got pretty good siege potential, which they do. But that is the last route I want to go when I have a Vikings composition. I want to be in your face. I want to be killing you. And then when I kill you, then I'll take your structures directly after. So something like that. Something like dare I say, like even Tyrande, something to concentrate on that kill potential. I obviously would take Jaina far over that, but still, you know, that's how much focus you should set onto your format having that kill potential, and I just don't see Zul'jin having it. Like, I don't think it's a bad pick by any means. It's just for what they're looking to make happen with the Vikings, I don't look at that and be like, what does Zul'jin provide that another hero couldn't have?
Are they going to stim drone or still keep with medevacs so that they have some sort of escape if Illidan gets onto Morales, as well as being able to use that as a pseudo-global for the team?
I think they would medevac. I think that's the safer choice for sure, but I mean, who knows at this point. When the minute you saw the medic, it's just like, well, we're going to have Zul'jin. I don't know where they're going to move. It's just the duo we've seen so far in North America.
We're ready for game number 4 on Warhead Junction, our first Warhead Junction of HGC NA.
Oh, Mikey Doll is going to be on the Vikings there. And this is just interesting thought process here when it comes to the 4-man. When considering the opposite side of the map, Illidan is just bodies any Viking. So Illidan is just going to push as hard as he possibly can. Because of that, you should see a 1-2 split on the Vikings rather than a 2-1. Olaf in one, Eric and Balog in the other. Typically, you can run like a 1 in each lane, but it's unrealistic against Illidan. He will siege way too freaking hard. Same with the Haka. So running the 2-1 and then putting the 2 into the Dahaka lane while the 1 into the mid. So that's what I want to see out of TLV, at least.
Meanwhile, Freedom have to watch out for wherever the big push is going to come in from Gale Force.
Yeah, so Olaf is going to be in the Dahaka lane for now, and then it looks like Balog and Eric are going to be remaining in mid for now, and then the 4-man's going to transition to bottom. Okay, so then Vala, as soon as that shows, should make the transition as a soft response. Keep Rhaegar in mid. He can't lose, but he won't win. And then make sure Dahaka, that's a lane mismatch. He will be able to out-siege very heavily into him. The laning choices here are really actually kind of cool as a response to TLV and 4-mans. It's very hard to be able to figure it out, but if it's done well, like in mid, the amount of pressure that's being forced right now. But Illidan can do that on his own, so those two need to transition to stop the 4-man. But instead they're not gonna. They're gonna say we can just flat out push it.
Gonna push in, take out a fort if nobody else can stop. Eric is here, taking on the minions. Okay, so now it's evened out. Gale Force has been able to take out the towers too. They're moving into the well, and the siege continues for Team Freedom now with some minion support.
Yeah, both teams are just gonna go blow for blow, get an even trade. Does this help anyone? Yeah, it probably helps when it comes to kill potential and opening up the lethal for Freedom because they want to end the game as fast as possible. But it hurts in the sense that if the lanes push out too far, then it's not a soak area that can get experience, and Freedom, Gale Force with the Vikings will be able to soak over the long run. But that, in fact, is going to be one dead Olaf. Will Nasmus be able to get this? He will be going down as well. Good night, my little Viking. And so now the response on the side of GFB, I'm surprised they were able to outpush there into the 4-man. On the side of, for Freedom into the mid lane, that it took that long.
Level 4 picked up for Team Freedom. Mike's going to lose Olaf too, and now Team Freedom can rotate up to the top fort if they please. There's a Warhead that is spawning right around there too. A lot of people have shown in the watchtower, so that prompted the backup from Team Freedom. Freedom will at least get the bottom Warhead, so they can just trade out here.
Yeah, they can trade out, and already, I mean, I know we don't see Vikings very often, and it is very hard. We have seen some amazing Viking players around the world, and so far, Mike is not really that aware of the positioning or transition of his 3 little Vikings there, maybe as much as I would like to see here at HGC North America. Again, another catch. That one is a little bit unfair, just because it's pretty much impossible to be able to outrun, and Nasmus kind of just lets him go. Collusion comes back, MVP, throws the totem, doesn't even, man, he is a warrior, look at him. My goodness.
But Olaf will go down instead. Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know your history of heroes, Michael Udall actually played his first Heroes of the Dorm, Vikings, and that game ended up, I think that was the game that ended up losing the series, not that that's something that comes into play too much, but it is something that he has played for a long time, specifically Vikings. So if you haven't seen him play them, he has been playing them for a long time. Whether or not he's rusty on them, though, is a different story, as defined by the positioning in this game. Yeah.
So 7 has been picked up here. Everything seems to be pretty close to even, but the Vikings haven't managed to be able to pick up any early game advantage structures. Pretty close to even, so A lot of it is just when the Vikings hit that, you know, you have to make a choice on the map, and the next Warhead rotation and things like that, that's when Vikings are going to hit their spikes. So we're yet to be able to see that thrive, but there's been a pretty proper response so far by Freedom for the Vikings.
Lieutenant Morales got Mule, so that'll help with any of the structures that have been taken down, and specifically down in the bottom where the one nuke that Team Freedom did get was used. They can mule that back up. Dansky's going to start to push in as heavily as he can with the minions, knowing that your opponents have mules can sometimes cause you to make risky decisions to try to take out structures. So that might be something that Gale Force is looking at to see if they can capitalize on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure here on the top lane. You see the teams really kind of mirroring one another, and it's in the best interest here for Freedom. They're even starting onto this boss. They'll be able to pick it up. The proper response for Gale Force is, in fact, the exact same. They're going to be picking up the boss. But this is actually good for Freedom. The fact that this map is opening up so quickly, the game where Vikings are going to be able to force those tough decisions, there's not going to be approached relatively soon, and how slow they were to be able to get on the boss. This is very much a pretty position to be in if you are Team Freedom. I just take the keep. I honestly would screw the Warheads, just pressure. Force the response on the side, because you're never going to match Vikings in the long run here, right? So if you just take what you know you can get, that's going to be more valuable than really anything. It's, well, I guess, you know, multi-core is going to say not very much. So never mind, back out. Worry about the Warheads.
I was going to say the positioning for them is nice too. Michael Udall should pick up this Warhead just as Collusion and Asmus come in, but maybe Collusion, Zugrug, Force nope, he doesn't have heroic abilities yet. He gets taken down, so he just wastes the Warhead, which is at least better than giving away a Warhead to your teammate, or to your opponents.
Oh man, Mike Udall saying, you know, if I can't have this, nobody can have it. With that use, he does have one on Olaf there into the top lane. And Metamorphosis was the choice. I actually thought we might see a Hunt in this scenario, and the Bloodlust. I thought we'd see a Hunt purely on just like that Olaf, you know, showing in the side lane a little bit too far, and he's got a nuke. Just is a very easy and simple kill to be able to pick up. I think that would be worth the trade-off of, you know, having the Hunt and then auto-attack it out, wait till later, making the Vikings, you know, kind of constantly question themselves, like almost like a Zeratul would. To some extent, but either way, 2 Warheads here now for Team Freedom. Experience pretty close to even. Structures in favor of Freedom, doing a very good job responding to this. What is the word? Are we still sticking with creative? Is that what that is? Unique?
Innovative?
Innovative.
Approach?
Yeah.
Something.
It's one of those things, and Gale Force is doing it.
And importantly, Team Freedom did not use the nuke here on the top lane. Gale Force have one nuke they're bringing in on Olaf now to be able to throw down on these keep structures, but the top push is so strong for Team Freedom along with the 2 nukes that they do have. Here comes Dansky with one. Zugrug has the other.
Yeah, it's going to be
very likely a keep.
Yeah, double damage on the center there. Both of them are going to end up landing, so we'll see. No, it won't be the keep there, but we'll get it very, very low.
If the Gale Force can push Team Freedom away, they've already started muling up this keep. So it's just a matter of defending as long as they can. Equinox, I think he has Molten Core too.
All right, so here's going to be the team fight attempt. Good Rain of Vengeance. Taz Dingo is the choice there for Heroic on the side of Zul'jin.
ETC hasn't chosen yet. But Medevac drop chip, so no crazy stim drone, Taz Dingo, fan shenanigans, at least in that respect.
And so we'll see if they're going to be able to get rid of this Molten Core as a delay tactic. It's such an interesting approach to this composition. Now that I'm seeing it in action, I'm starting to get like, you know, understanding of it more. The defensive abilities of using the Mule, using the Molten Core, and then just split pushing elsewhere. I'm still critical of the Zul'jin, not figuring out that one yet. I think the argument was that it can siege faster than most heroes very early on with his passive, but I didn't see it. I wasn't sold on the Zul'jin. Everything else is making a bit more sense here. And the Morales is only for the Zul'jin, so the ETC, the Ragnaros, and then any hero with a Mule would have been fine as the support. And then I can't help but feel like any other backliner would have been done well. But, you know, at first it seemed a little bit, you know, where is this going? But now it makes a bit more sense. I still can't help but feel like it's a route that Gale Force didn't necessarily need to go, and a risk that I wouldn't have taken in this series.
Plus, it shows something of theirs, right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that it shows a strategy that now other teams watching this will be able to know about. Collusion's going to be, Dansky's in a bad spot here as the Haka, but still has adaptation if really needed. And this is actually something that Team Freedom want to do. They want to fight, a drag, a nice Force Wall 2, Rain of Vengeance to follow, and a Crow and kill.
It's one of the most common things with Vikings comp. They just can't team fight for the most part. Metamorphosis, they aren't done. They're going to try and chase. The slow is going to hit onto Dansky, so they'll back out. Vikings are still soaking elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, that did buy time, and another nuke will be used by Mike in the mid to start throwing damage into the mid fort, trying to get Gale Force eSports to level 13, caught back up with Team Freedom, but all of that was just a nice distraction. The kill did help Team Freedom, it got them some experience, but as long as the Vikings are pushing lanes wherever Team Freedom are not, trying to start throwing damage onto towers ahead of keeps, then once again they can get a boss and start to bring down some of those keeps.
This is now getting to the point where Vikings are going to, you know, push on the tough questions to Freedom. So suddenly we will see them be a little bit more difficult to be able to respond to. So Freedom has to rely on the Haka and Illidan, but without the Hunt, a little bit less onto the Illidan for their choices. Oracle's going to scout out Gale Force with this transition. Vikings are still soaking elsewhere on the map, trying to, you know, keep the experience relatively even. But until the Warhead spawn and, you know, multiple, really does Gale Force, they just back out and just, you know, don't risk anything here.
Was the last spawn a 2 spawn?
The last, in fact, was a 2 spawn, I believe.
All right, so the next one we're looking at a 4.
And 3 of those can go on the Vikings,
Yeah, that's interesting how that works
that's OP.
out. Huh.
A hero that can hold more than one that's broken. Blizzard, please.
Bosses are both available. Team Freedom seem to be setting up. They're at least keeping an eye on the bottom boss, especially because that's where the keep of Team Freedom is weakest. Dansky's done a great job of pushing in the Raven camp all the way to the keep, but of course this keep was healed up by Mule, and there's another one to help out. He's rotated up to the top. Collusion and Insomnia taking down a boss by themselves. It's been spotted out. Gale Force moves to the bottom boss. How's this going to work, Team Freedom?
Okay, so Illidan definitely can take that boss by himself without risking anything, which means Gale Force, yeah, they're going to overcommit to the bottom half because they don't have any, you know, I can solo boss heroes very, very well. Maybe Zul'Jin and Medic can do it together probably pretty easy, but other than that, committing those resources makes the most sense there. Now, if you're Freedom, you commit to top. Even if you lose the keep, you need to open up the win condition, so if things get tough, you have the way to win the game. You know, Insomnia keep on the chase, hopefully be able to pick this up, but you look for the keep. Problem is the Molten Core is going to hit, and then you're going to have the Mule on top of it, so you have to try and use the 16 talent here, which means fighting in probably after a wave and a turret.
There is one nuke available for Freedom, so boss plus nuke. They want to get this keep down now. They have let Gale Force heal it up enough. Here comes Molten Core.
Yeah, I would drop the nuke right on top, and we do see that from Collusion. And it won't matter, as it's going to fall down directly after. That is going to be the first keep and 16 talents here for Freedom. There is still the proper response or boss in the other direction. They're looking before. Illidan's already on top of it. You see Equinox is in a tough spot. Medic's able to keep him up. Mosh Pit is already going to be interrupted here as Crowan ends up falling. The boss looking to the core now. And suddenly it turns terrible here for Gale Force eSports.
There's a double nuke on the boss. It stops it, but the core is at about 40%, 30% and falling. Team Freedom have had enough with this weird composition from Gale Force eSports. Team Freedom takes game number 4, and we're moving on to game 5.
I will give credit to Freedom. They had a very good 1 through 10 responsive Vikings. That's something, again, young teams struggle with. Even, I think, experience sometimes. That's kind of a comfortability with playing against the hero. But they had a really proper response, so very well done coming out from them.
We're going to go to commercial. When we come back, game